I usually start these things on time. I am 1 minute late today getting started. But I'll give you just sort of a snapshot of what's going on in the city. And then I have my colleague Tim Street here, who is with Parks, and he'll give you a little bit of an update about what we're excited about in the Parks Department. And then we really facilitate these based on what you're interested in hearing. So it's a free-for-all in terms of questions, and the only sort of rule of engagement here is just to honor the fact that we have several people who may be wanting to answer questions. And hey, Terry. And so just if we do end up filling the crowd here, just be respectful of other people who may want to ask some questions. So let me get my list of updates here for you. The first thing I want to talk about is the storms that we've just experienced. We've had a lot of rain in the past several days, and the great news is that while we have been really soggy in Bloomington, a lot of the work that we've been doing over the past several years to do stormwater mitigation, especially as we're looking at climate change and the impacts of the rapid groundwater movement that we get, that stormwater mitigation is really doing its job. So I know we have some residents with some wet basements and some other sort of hassles, but we did not see the massive flooding on Kirkwood that we have seen in the past. Likewise, we have had lots of flooding on the south side, sort of down near Switchyard Park. We even had someone swept away in a car a couple of years ago during the June storms. And so we're really pleased with that. And my thanks goes to CBU, the utility, for all of the planning that they're doing with stormwater, but also for the 60 employees of CBU who've been working since Wednesday on making sure that all of the grates are cleaned in the street and maintaining all of the inlets and making sure that our plants are surviving all of this water well. I want to talk a little bit about community safety. The first update is that how many people here live in this neighborhood or in District 2 generally? 1, 2-ish. Okay. So I'll leave things that are just pertinent to this area for later if we have time. The good news is we have our statistics in from last year. Our violent crime went down 24.3% last year, so that's it's a pretty incredible statistic. Our police department is getting to the place where we're nearly fully staffed, and importantly, what that means is that we can get back to doing community policing. And of course, we have a robust social work team there now at the police department, which is awesome, yes. And we really have some of the most forward-looking and forward-thinking policies that are available. We also, my thanks to our downtown resource officers that are part of the police, but also our downtown ambassadors, and they work through Community and Family Resources Department. The other thing I want to update you on related to policing is that we are looking at 714 South Rogers Street, which is the large concrete building at the corner of it's about First and Rogers. And that has been, that was part of the hospital, the old hospital site acquisition, so part of Hopewell. And we have wanted to preserve the building, both to be good stewards to our earth, but also to be good stewards of our tax funds. And as we have looked at it, it is really clear that it would make a great police department. Our police department is very cramped right now. It also is in a building that continues to flood, although it did not this past weekend, and really has some major issues of accessibility and also having a welcoming feel, especially when we are dealing with people who are victims of crimes. Let me also update you on the fiber network installation that we're doing. I put out a press release on Friday. Did that go out, Desiree? Okay. The subcontractor that was working on that installation, and this is for our digital accessibility, so high-speed internet everywhere, the subcontractor went bankrupt. And so they are no longer on the job, and the Meridium, who we have a contract with, is working on replacing that subcontractor. We do want to see the installation complete so we can get fiber everywhere in the city. And we also know that AEG, Trueline, they changed their name midway through. They really had some challenges. Residents had some challenges with them, and so we are looking forward to putting together a great network, getting it fully operational, and working with a subcontractor that can really put our properties back the way they were when we found them, and improve safety on the job sites. Trades District. You may have also heard that we had some vandalism at the Trades District last week. That is very disappointing. Every dollar that is spent to repair things at Trades, things anywhere that is due to vandalism is money that can't be spent helping meet basic needs and doing other things for the community. So I'm disappointed in that. We're working with the Forge and others to make sure those repairs get made. And I really just want to encourage Bloomington to use your powers for good. So if there is a challenge and you want to talk about whatever problem you're having, happy to be part of the solution, and we're really trying to be an outlet at the Office of the Mayor for creative problem solving throughout our city. So we are excited about the CCC grant. That's the Campus Community Collaboration Grant that came through Lilly. That is helping with the Trades District. All the funding went to the university. And then it's being used to really build a tangible partnership between the campus and the students there, and the commercialization that's going to come out of the university and be used to help our economy here, and especially help with innovation. And finally, this Thursday, April 10th at 6 p.m., we will be dedicating the new art installation at the Trades District, which is titled OT 987. So the public's invited to join us at that community celebration. I'm gonna let Tim make a couple of happy notes that are directly owned by the Parks Department. But I will just note that Kirkwood is open. Kirkwood is closed, which means it's open for pedestrians now, and open for outdoor dining. And we did that just in time for the weather to change briefly, but we're looking forward to summer days of enjoying Kirkwood together. And I'm going to turn things over to Tim in just a second. I just want to recognize a couple new members of our team. Keisha is here. She's waving to you. Keisha joined Office of the Mayor today. Do you want to stand up and tell us your role, Keisha?
I am director.
Oh, wow, very cool.
I think that's it.
Do you have a contact number?
I do. So you can reach them call the mayor's office. You can leave a message. Today's my first day, so everything is kind of getting settled in.
We'll wait a few weeks.
Yeah, you can definitely send me an email. Though my email is up and running.
Cool.
Our new staff are available only for one-way communication today. You can't ask her any questions, but she can tell you what she knows. And then we have Lucas, who is here, maybe a familiar face.
Yeah, so my name is Lucas Gonzalez. I work on the communications team for the city, so I'll be working very closely with Desiree. Before this, I worked at the public media station, WFIU and WTIU, so a little bit of a different change up for me, but I'm very happy to be, serving the community that I love. So.
Awesome. And for those who haven't met Margaret, my assistant, she's back here, and Desiree's our communications director. And I'm going to turn things over to our parks director, Tim Street, who can always upstage me with all of the fun things Parks is doing.
All right. Welcome. As the mayor said, my name is Tim Street. I have the great privilege of being the director of our great parks department here in Bloomington. And it is basically our job to make Bloomington a great place to live, or to help make Bloomington a great place to live and enhance our quality of life through our parks and trails and programs and all the things that we offer. So tonight was an opportune meeting to join. One, because we're here in the Banneker Center, which is a great community resource that we operate for this neighborhood and beyond. Some great things happen here. And two, we're right at the cusp of launching so much of our season. We get a little bit quieter over the winter in terms of programming and things like that, but just this past weekend we had our first farmers market, and we had, 1,000 people come out despite the rain, which was really wonderful. We've got the highest number of vendors and artisans we've had in a number of years. I'm really excited about the momentum of the market and the way that that's been going. It's really positive. It's a really wonderful slice of Bloomington and beyond. We would have opened the Griffey Lake Boathouse this weekend had it not been underwater, but no launching boats because the boat ramp was underwater. So, but again, no damage. We're very thankful. We have a little bit of cleanup to do after the weekend rains and everything like that, but for the most part, everything tends to be okay. I'll just update on a few projects and things we have going on right now. We're in the midst of completing a slew of accessibility projects funded by the final ARPA dollars available to the city that we budgeted in 2024. So some things you might hear or see about with that is we're getting ready to do some improvements to the Building Trades Park. This park is from 1949, so it's one of Bloomington's older parks. It is a previous quarry. And some of the amenities, especially the accessibility, things like that, are a little dated and in need of an update, especially with the Hopewell neighborhood going in across the street. So I'm excited that we're going to be tearing down the old wooden ramp that was providing some accessibility and is getting a bit decrepit, and putting in a new accessible path north-south from 2nd Street to Howe Street, adding a new, more accessible shelter, tearing down the old one, which, if you've looked at it, it starts to have a little bit of a lean. So we're ready to decommission that one. So that's going to be starting probably the end of this month or early next month. At Switchyard Park, we've been working with the Community Council on accessibility to add our first tactile map, which I'm really excited about. This is a map for park users who have visual impairments. So it is a map that, everyone can use. So it has, just like a regular map, it's printed, it has colors, it has everything, but it also has Braille, and it also has textures that you can feel. So we'll have a map of Switchyard Park going in May, which I'm very excited about. We've been working on new accessible doors at this facility, at the Frank Southern Center, at the Allison Jukebox Building, and coming soon to the Twin Lakes Rec Center. So new push-button entry doors for accessibility. I mentioned farmers markets. One other big thing we have going on is we're working on our 5-year master plan. And so you will probably be hearing more about this coming up. Our department, like most in the state and many beyond the state too, operates on a 5-year master plan. So every 5 years, we sort of pause, we take a step back, and we really engage with the community to find out what is it our community needs from the Parks Department. Every week I get a lot of requests. We need more fill in the blank, pickleball, soccer, just blank space, you name it. A lot of people have different things that they really want to see from the Parks Department, And while I wish we could just do them all, that is not our financial reality, nor is it responsible for us to. So just this past week, we engaged in a bunch of focus groups with community members to begin that process. We had 5 focus groups. Later this year, we're going to be doing a statistically valid community survey about a needs assessment for our system. And then we'll have some other engagement opportunities, an open house about the master plan. And this is sort of a process that runs throughout the year and that we take back to our Board of Park Commissioners to adopt. And it really sets our main goals and our investments and our priorities for the next 5 years to come for the city of Bloomington. We do have a particular focus this time around on financial sustainability. Our Parks Department, like many out there and like many municipalities, we have a lot of aging facilities. We're lucky in the last 5 years to have some amazing new things like Switchyard Park and now Hopewell Commons. But we recognize that we need to have a really important focus on how do we sustain the things that we have in a really quality fashion for the community. So, for example, our 2 pools are from 1957 and 1963, I think. Those are pretty dated. The ice arena's from the 1960s. We know that the longer we go and defer maintenance and things like that, the more expensive it's going to be to take care of them. So our plan this year is really going to focus on how do we maintain the quality of our parks that our residents have come to expect, and our trails and all of our program offerings well into the future, beyond our time here in Bloomington. And I'll lastly just mention a few other projects we have going on. We're closing in on getting a bid packet ready for our Power Line Trail. This is actually one of the city's bicentennial projects back from 2018 that had some delays in implementation, but this will build a new trail running west from Switchyard Park along the tall power lines that you see there. It'll actually pick up a connection to RCA Park and the new Habitat Osage community along the way, and then the Summit District development that is to come in the future will extend that trail out towards Weimer Road. So the B line is a really great recreational and transportation spine for our community, and the more we can connect people to that via walking, biking, rolling, whatever it might be, the more we can help with problems like traffic and climate change and things like that as well. So that's a great project coming up. And then lastly, I'll just mention Hopewell Commons. So as part of the city's overall effort at Hopewell, excuse me, there was a desire to build a vibrant common space to function as basically social infrastructure for that neighborhood and for the city, a place for people to gather, to connect, to be together, to provide green space for those future houses or whatever type of living it ends up being. And we're really lucky to have this new 1-acre park right off the B line. So if you are in the downtown, just south of downtown area, in the vicinity of the Seminary Square Kroger, and you look west, you'll see Hopewell. It's along the new University Street, which will be opening probably sometime in the next month or so. But the park itself is already open. You can come in. There's a lawn space. We have temporary pickleball courts set up there to help activate the area. And it's a really fantastic area with a lot of great design features, like wood sourced basically from here in Indiana and kiln dried here in Indiana. It's a permeable pavers that help with stormwater penetration. It's a really great modern designed facility that I hope will provide a lot of recreation and connection for years to come. So those updates.
So we're gonna take questions, and if you have a question and you're willing to come up to this microphone, that is how folks at home can hear what the question is. If you're not comfortable doing that, there are 2 options. We have some note cards, so you can fill out your question. I'm happy to read it over the microphone. Or as long as it's not too verbose, if you want to ask your question from your seat, I'm happy to repeat it into this microphone. So those are the options, and while you're thinking about or writing down questions and coming up, I'll give a couple of other updates that you may be interested in. Part of the reason we may not have a huge crowd here is because our election board is also meeting tonight, and they'll be meeting again to take a final vote. They are considering doing vote centers. And in order to implement vote centers in Monroe County, the election board has to have a unanimous vote. And vote centers allow people, no matter what your precinct is in Monroe County, you can show up to any of the vote centers. And so, for instance, we heard from folks at the meeting tonight that lived way out in Unionville, but they work downtown and they don't get off of work until 5:30. A person like that, and have daycare drop off ahead of that, a person like that could leave their work at 5:30 and go straight to a downtown vote center and get there in time. A person who may be a new voter or whose precinct area changes or their voting precinct changes, they can pick any of the voting areas. And we have had a number of students especially show up at the Union trying to vote, but they don't live in the precinct where that actual precinct voting center is. So a county vote center, and there will be multiple county vote centers if they approve, you can pick any one. And so you can go close to home, close to work, close to school, you can go in the middle of the day, et cetera. And so as one of my priorities is to get voter engagement up, and the bare minimum is to get people to vote. So anything we can do to remove barriers to voting is a bonus, and your voice is needed at the next vote center meeting, or you can write to the election board. It's the county election board, so it's the vote center, or the election board meetings are available online through the county website. You can find them there. You can also go in person to their meetings. They happen at the county courthouse, which is the building that's in the center of our square between 6th and Kirkwood, College and Walnut. So that was long, and still nobody's at the microphone. Yeah, Don.
Why are vote centers even an issue? It doesn't seem to me that's, I mean, I'm a little bit out of it, but why is it even an issue?
Yeah, so the question.
Passed instantly, it seems to me.
Oh, so the question is, why is it even an issue? Says, well, you didn't introduce yourself, so I'm not going to do it for you because maybe you want to be anonymous. But I am not sure what the opposition to vote centers is. I was not able to stay long enough to hear the end of the discussion tonight, but it is a bipartisan committee. I don't think voting should be a partisan issue. It's just about participating. But I would, if you want to know, I would encourage you to engage with the folks on the election board.
Is it basically to just take excuses away for people not voting? I mean, we want everybody to vote, but a lot of people will say, oh, I had to work, or so maybe it's just a good idea to take every excuse away. Right?
I do think we need to make it as easy as possible for people to vote.
Now, the old Napa building downtown
Yes.
has operated as a vote center for a good while. I know that's city. That's
It's
the only
county.
one.
It's county.
It's
It's county owned. So the comment is the old Napa building. Well, those of us who've been here a long time call it the old Napa building, but it's at 3rd and Walnut. That has operated as the early vote center. There has been no election day vote center. So if you want to vote at that place, you have to be in that precinct on election day.
I've taken a number of people there.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was early voting.
So now it'll be,
mentioned.
you can go there.
Well, the proposal is to have a number of vote centers all over the county. Yeah, so people wouldn't even have to come downtown if it passes. And I didn't want to hijack the meeting with vote centers, but I'm happy to continue talking about them. The other update, and you can think about more questions, more topics, is that we are in the middle of, we're at the very beginning stage of city and place branding initiative that helps us tell the story of who we are in Bloomington and helps us welcome everyone to Bloomington. And so there's a website up now called, and you go to wearebloomington.com, and you can give us some information about what you love about Bloomington, what makes Bloomington Bloomington for you. We're trying to get all kinds of voices into this process. There will be more public input as well, but that website's already up now. Come on, come on. All right, thanks, Steve. Break the ice.
See what we're going to start with.
And if you're willing to introduce yourself,
Yeah.
that's how we can help build community.
My name's Steve Lehman. Don's my great-grandpa. Okay, so I was going to ask, I know last fall you had an event at 11th and Adams to announce a new daycare
Yes.
and residence area. And so my question is where are we at on that? And I think I told you it's the most exciting thing I've seen come out of city
It's really
government for a
awesome.
long time.
It's really awesome. So this is a project to do a daycare that is, it's an education center, and it is up at about 11th and Monroe. It's more like maybe 12th and Monroe. That is a project technically owned by the Bloomington Housing Authority. It is very exciting. First of all, we don't have nearly enough daycare spots available in Monroe County or in the city of Bloomington. This is right near a bunch of housing that where people live that need daycare. And having daycare really close to your house is really important. It will be affordable, and it'll really be just fantastic opportunity for that neighborhood and for the city in general. Sorry, you want to ask where we are in the project? So I haven't been up there probably in 7 days, but they were moving a lot of dirt and putting concrete in the ground. So it's moving, and oh, okay. Oh, from Community Kitchen Express. Yes, it's about a block and a half away from there. Yeah, Terry.
Is it a sliding scale type daycare, and what ages?
I know it's infant to 3 or 4, and I don't know about the cost of it. But that, again, is a Bloomington Housing Authority, so while it has Bloomington in the name, it's a different organization. We just happen to provide some funding to it. But it's
Mysteries daycare, is that,
separate. Yep. That's right. Yeah, but still not enough daycare. Yeah. And really, when a community doesn't have enough daycare and does not have enough affordable daycare, we really are keeping people in poverty. It can cost more to put a child in daycare than what you're going to end up netting in your job. And at a time when we really need people working, if a parent is able to work and wants to work, we want to make that daycare accessible to them. Yeah.
How many houses, slots, daycare slots are available in that particular project?
So we are happy to get back to you with lots of information. Again, it's not a City of Bloomington project. I am excited about it. The city did provide some funding, but that's a BHA project. So if you gave Desiree contact information and you're asking about this, we can circle back with you about that project. I'd like to claim it because it's one of the coolest. Bill, come on up and it's one of the coolest things happening. You're right. But It's called the Early Learning Center. And it's, can you look that up while we're talking? Go ahead.
I have more of a couple of brief comments than questions, one of which does relate to Parks and Rec. And that one is that I have ridden my bicycle out to the Cascades Park, which I believe is a city park rather than a county. And I do not feel it would be any advantage to me as a biker to have the roads closed off. It would not help me one bit. However, it would make it more difficult for handicapped people and for people who are trying to bring in picnic supplies. My other comment, as I was going downtown today on my bicycle, I went by a food truck creating huge amounts of noise with its generator and spewing toxic fumes and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. We should not be administratively supporting food trucks in Bloomington. We should try to discourage that. Thank you.
I have a question about that. Is that still something that's going on, closing Lower Cascades Drive?
No,
No,
I mean,
didn't think so. I thought
that ship has sailed. Yes. Corey.
Hi, Corey Hawkins. This is kind of off the heels of what Tim said about failing infrastructure. We're here at the Banneker, and if you look around, you might notice that it's failing. So the Banneker is more than just a building. It's a living, breathing monument to Black history and a critical third place for marginalized communities in Bloomington. So what specific, measurable investments is the city making in this place? One of the places that not only historically has preserved kind of the integrity of the Black community and other marginalized communities here in town, but also currently meets the needs of Black, LGBTQ, low-income, marginalized communities as they're being attacked across the country.
Sure. I'm happy to talk about that a little bit, and I see that Kevin, who is our Banneker director, has joined us in here this evening. But yeah, as I mentioned, the Banneker is a really important and great community asset, and third place, absolutely. You know, from after-school programs to, I stopped by here the other day, and on the third floor, the weather was crummy, and there was like 4 or 5 different moms with their infants using the third floor. There's a podcast library, there's teen engagement, there's a whole lot of things. As a historic building, it is a challenge, and it is a challenge that we're constantly facing with how do we keep up with this, how do we maintain the historic standards, and how do we also make sure that it stays usable. A lot of that strategically going forward is about picking our battles and making sure we're making decisions to set us up for sustainability long term. In terms of the building itself right now, there are a few things going on. One of the advantages of having a historic building and serving the populations that we serve here is it tends to be eligible for a lot of different types of grants. And so we're able to go beyond our funding just for the city and find other ways to help fund improvements to the building. So we did receive this year a designated historic places grant from the state. That is specifically tackling the front steps and restoring the front steps with new limestone. If you've been on them, you've seen that the salt over the years has really eroded them. So later this year, we're gonna have new front steps, so that is going on. We are also right now working with Ball State. For the state of Indiana, if you wanna do like historic architecture projects, Ball State is your place to do that. They've got a lot of students, a lot of expertise. And so this semester we are working with a professor who I've actually worked with before on our Cascades history and one of his master's students on a complete building assessment and recommendations on not just how we can make repairs, sometimes we know that, but how we make them in a way that is consistent with the historic standards that we need to stay with because of the historic covenant on this building. Kevin's been doing a lot of work and investigations into the roof. We've actually got another grant. Kevin, is it in the range of like 20K, I think we're looking at to do that project, the roof project? About 30,000 we're looking at for that. That's in process right now. And then back to the Ball State thing, actually, right at the end of the semester here, can you tell me the date? Do you remember the date we're doing it here? Early May. We can follow up with that. We're actually going to have a presentation of their findings, and then we're going to use those findings to prioritize and continue to help find ways to solve issues in this building, like water penetration and things like that. So, yeah, it's either late April or early May. We can. I don't recall that date offhand. Actually, I didn't even mention that, but no, we are working with the Economic and Sustainable Development Department. Oh, yeah, nope, and that is actually in the works. We're going to do a full LED conversion here as well as at a couple other facilities that we have. Yeah. So we definitely recognize the value of this and need to continue to find ways to make sure it remains thriving and in good shape. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you with specifics on that. I don't have any strategic plan in front of me that I know what we're doing next on that, but certainly continuing to support the after-school programs that meet here. There's a lot of, I'm always amazed at the range of events that happen here, from sumo wrestling to Rubik's Cube championships to churches on Sunday to a free computer giveaway with United Way. So certainly we want to continue to find ways to activate and make things happen here. Yeah. But I think you're asking more specifically like for the local community that really needs that activation. How are we going to continue? Yeah, I wish I could give you a bunch of specifics right now, but it remains a priority and something our staff here is doing a great job of, and we're certainly going to continue with the fair, the carnival, the bike giveaway, all the things that we do here. So.
Other questions? Yeah, see?
This is a really random
Frequent flyer.
Okay, so I remember about 8 or 10 years ago, the city bought a section of property on the north side of Cascades Park. And if I remember correctly, there were several structures there. I drive through there 3 or 4 times a week. There were several structures there. I believe that there were some Tibetan monks living out there and things like that. City bought the property, and the structures were taken down and everything, and it's been empty ever since. And since I drive by there numerous times a week, going to my favorite place, Cascades Golf Course, I always wonder, are there any plans for that property?
Great question. The short answer is no. Those properties were bought essentially to preserve the natural landscape of Lower Cascades Park. When those buildings were basically being sold and abandoned, they were in poor condition, the monastery and everything. I was not here at the time, so I'm speaking from my historical knowledge, but I believe the desire was to buy those properties to protect what is otherwise a very unimpeded natural landscape of trees and forest and creek and everything. The buildings were taken down. Additionally, it would be a challenge to put any major buildings back in that location because it's also floodplain from the creek there, and it floods pretty substantially. So essentially more nature space. We may come back there at some point and, you know, unpaved hiking trails, things like that, we may try to put back into that space, but no formal plans for development. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, the boardwalk to the waterfall is beautiful. It's just amazing. And my grandkids come to town about once a quarter, and that's where they want to go. That playground and go down that boardwalk.
Yeah.
Making a lot of noise.
Yeah, the comment for those watching was about the boardwalk that we put in a couple years ago at Cascades. up to the waterfall. That is certainly one of the sort of natural icons of Bloomington. And speaking of, branding our community, I think our natural features have a lot to do with that. And so making that more accessible to people who are using strollers or walkers or power chairs that I've seen going up there is a huge delight to me to see people be able to enjoy that.
And if you haven't been out there in the last couple days, the waterfall's really gushing right now. So now is the moment to go see that waterfall. Other questions? We don't have to stay till 7 if nobody has questions. Margaret has her hand up. A comment. Thank you, Margaret. The Reverend Dr. Marvin Chandler Early Learning Center. And are there notes about how many spaces are there?
28 for infants and toddlers 0 to 3 years old.
Residents that are living above it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not open to the public, right?
A lot of the detailed questions we should get from BHA, but we can get you in contact with somebody there if you're really interested in a bunch of the details. So 28 early learning spots, 0 to 3. And for those of you who are not parenting that age group, which I'm not, but I am paying attention, MCCSC last year did fund 4-year-olds into pre-K, so that's accessible to the whole community. So those 0 to 3 spots are what we're really looking for in the community, just to highlight there should not be a gap from 4 to 5 while you wait for kindergarten.
Them learning new trades and all different kinds of trades and working on the city and different projects, gardening, putting in all sorts of nice.
Yeah, MCCSC has a great vocational learning center, which is called Hoosier Hills, and they do a lot of great projects throughout the community. And we do try to hire and train where we can, and including, and I'll give a shout out for Tim's crews, even though I have no idea if we're looking for seasonal help right now in the parks. Yes. So we still have some openings there. But it's great to learn some of these things during the summer and contribute back to your community while getting paid. So look on our HR site for open jobs, even seasonally. And I will note another thing that's happening tonight and in this very building is the NAACP is meeting upstairs. So we have some people who are coming through. Sorry?
15 minutes ago.
Yeah, it started 15 minutes ago, but they're still meeting up there. Yeah. Yes?
How does the community needs assessment get sent out, and like who does it get sent out to?
For the parks, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, great question. So the question is, how will we be sort of working on our community needs assessment? So we have sort of a two-pronged strategy for that. One of them is to try to get it's increasingly a challenge to do this, but to get statistically valid survey responses from a representative sample of Bloomington households. So that is one prong we are working on, is randomized sampling of people that we will be sending the survey to and hoping we get a good enough response rate to reach that random sample size. So we want that, but then we're also doing what we're calling equitable engagement. So that started with focus groups, but that is not the end of it at all. So we had some focus groups. Now we kind of take a step back and we process what we got from the focus groups to sort of build that next step. So there will be, if you're at Parks events this summer, if you're at the farmers market, we're going to have info tables set up. We're going to do sort of a parallel survey to the one that we send out, the statistically valid one, that'll just be available for anyone. So that way we can sort of compare here's the random sample one with here's just one that people who are interested found and filled out. And then we'll also have at least one sort of major event about our master planning efforts too, as a chance to share how far we've gotten so far. It'll be kind of like a midpoint, like here's what we've done with our early work. Now continue to give us feedback to guide the latter half of the plan development. So there'll be lots of opportunities coming up if you're tuned into like Parks channels.
Yeah, I'm also curious to know how we're engaging our house neighbors who also use Parks and Rec a lot.
Yeah, that is something we've actually talked about with our consultant team, and oh, I'm sorry. The question was, how might we get feedback from some of our unhoused neighbors who also use the park spaces? Because park spaces are for everybody. Everyone is welcome to use our parks, of course, and that is something we've talked about, but we don't have a specific strategy in place yet on that, but it's something we anticipate working on this summer. Yeah. Potentially, sure. Talk to me after. Yeah. Is there a specific, thank you for reminding me to repeat the question, I keep forgetting. Is there a specific strategy to get people who are not engaged in parks events? So first off, we did community focus groups this past week, and we tried to purposefully select different groups of people and invite people to represent different community interests. So from business and civic leaders to people who represent different user groups and participants, like someone who, we had a parent of a kid who goes to Kid City. We invited a parent of a Banneker student who's here a lot as parks users. Pardon me? Right, yeah. But so I'm just saying, as we go across the range of people that, we're trying to grab as many different types of people that we can into those focus groups. Some of this is still a work in progress because we've just kicked off. And so some of the strategy we're still working on with our consultant that we're working with and our surveying company. Like we haven't even had our kickoff meeting with them yet to develop the survey. So more to come on that, and certainly we'll keep that in mind and keep thinking about that and how we can engage those folks.
Let me just hop in for a second. So one of the things that my administration has been trying to do is reach the people who don't naturally show up at meetings like this. People can't come at 6 p.m. People don't necessarily want to come to a public meeting. People may not know about a focus group, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying to stretch our bandwidth to think about how to meet people where they are and how to get the input in a way that's comfortable for people. So this is a great opportunity for us to say, if you have ideas for how we can reach people that we're not currently reaching, please share them with us. We're super open to hearing them. We do online surveys. Not everybody has access to internet, et cetera, et cetera. Not everybody's going to come to the farmer's market. Not everybody's going to be a parks user yet, and we definitely want to know, why aren't you a parks user, and could we make it more accessible to you? So, and Keisha has lots of experience in creatively engaging people in public processes, so we're just so thankful to have her on our team. I'm going to encourage you to share thoughts with her, either now or later, or you can share them with me after the meeting. But we really eagerly want, not just in the parks process, we want to know how our government can do better serving the people that are feeling unserved. So that is it's a priority for our team, and if you have thoughts, please share them with us, because we are only so many people, thinking through this, and an outside perspective is always welcome. Dave.
Tonight at the redevelopment commission meeting, that was the other major draw tonight, competing for people's attention.
Yes.
They opened bids for Oakville East. It reminded me that I don't know what's going on for Oakville South. I think I may have
Yeah. So. Yeah, so I'm going, you can tell me whatever I missed, but I'm going to try to repeat the, tonight at the Redevelopment Commission meeting, which is also competing for people's attention tonight, they did a public opening of the bids on Hopewell East, and the bids, the project proposals for Hopewell South also have been active, and so Dave was asking about, did he miss something? No, no decision has been made about Hopewell South yet. And, sorry. It's still in flux. Yeah, so, and Hopewell is, we're really proud Hopewell Commons is open, and it's been my administration's priority to try to get a high number of affordable and attainable homes in Hopewell. And it is affordable is one piece of the puzzle. And so what I'm talking about is technically affordable, which comes with some kind of government subsidy. Usually those are low-income tax credit projects. So there's a formula for how a developer could afford to build a project that is specifically designated for low-income households. Then there's what we refer to as attainable, which is for people who make enough to not qualify for a subsidy, but still not enough to pay for what otherwise might be market rate in Bloomington, which, as we know, is very high. How are we going to house those people? And how do we make properties available to them? That actually, in today's market, is a much more difficult challenge. And so as we look at the other tracks in Hopewell, which is comprised of several different projects, my goal is to make whatever is not technically affordable attainable to folks who are not otherwise wealthy. So we continue to problem solve on that. Other questions? No? Hopewell, yeah. Yes.
They do there. Has the city looked into that? That was a number of years ago, but as they were trying to find kind of that in-between affordable housing, I know that a lot of people that are in that in-between that live, we actually have members of our church, many who are in that in-between that live in Orchard Glen, and it's affordable, but I don't know if that's something that is either.
To my knowledge, Orchard Glen is actually affordable. It has subsidy attached to it, yeah. And so we have talked to the property managers over at Orchard Glen, who also now have some other successful properties, about how they're doing what they're doing and what the formula is. Those aren't new construction, and so we're in a slightly different paradigm now. I want to take this opportunity to thank the folks who run Orchard Glen, but also the other responsible landlords in our community who are dedicated to keeping properties attainable and or affordable, those who are taking our housing choice vouchers, because we still need more landlords who will accept those housing choice vouchers. And as we look to really solve the challenge of people who are experiencing homelessness without a shelter, so literally living outside, we need to keep people housed where they are with eviction prevention and other diversion, and we need to make sure there's enough supply of low-income housing. We also need the attainable housing for others. So when we're looking at the housing spectrum, we need several pieces of that spectrum really bolstered. And that's how we're going to get to a good picture of a Bloomington city where people can truly thrive. Okay, I am going to give you 3 minutes of your night back. I thought it was way earlier than that, so I'm only gifting you 3 minutes. I want to thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate your participation. I do these 6 times a year, 1 in each city council district. I also do traveling office hours for people who need 15 minutes of just my attention with nobody else really listening. And those are great opportunities and have been accessed by people who don't love coming to public meetings for one reason or another, or have something private to talk about. So you can tell others who may not have wanted to join you tonight. Those traveling office hours are done in the months when I don't have a town hall. So 12 months a year, I'm out in public doing something for input and encourage engagement. And Margaret is telling me to tell you that you can sign up ahead of time. Is that what the charades were? Door knocking, and I also go door knocking once a month. And I pick different neighborhoods, trying to get all over the city. So if you want me in your neighborhood, let me know. Yes?
I was going to say, if you could do an assembly at the schools, you know, and get all the young people involved with Monroe County or the city of Bloomington, give them a pamphlet or, you know, with those books, when they have an assembly there, and then maybe I would help.
It's a great idea. So Terry, you always have great ideas. So I'm gonna just let people know you can talk amongst yourselves so that we can say goodbye to the people on screen, and thanks again for coming tonight.